very fine members of our community, and we're very happy to have you here. This is going to be a very special set of flags for us. This is, if you've watched the World Series of Free Enterprise, Catalite flags with a bit of a twist. We've decided to go, and since we've got the beta that's just come out, change a couple things for a bit of our amusement. One of which being, we've decided to allow duplicate characters this time. That's because we're allowing our characters to permanently die with a new permadeath flag. If you end a fight with a character dead, that character is gone with all of their stuff and all the experience. We are going to be seeing some exciting decisions today where we don't go and have the normal, I can just go through this. But this is definitely something that we're going to be looking forward to see, right, Invenerable?
Oh, yeah. It's always going to be a tricky decision where if you barely skate through a fight by the skin of your teeth, are you going to go back to a save to keep from losing, an important key character? Or are you going to say, I can take this loss, I can push forward, I can still beat this seed before my opponents?
Yeah, and there's still, the shops will only sell cabins, so it's not like you can just run around with life potions. If you don't go and have a white mage, you're going to really need to go and be paying attention to your in-combat deaths and see, how do I spend one of the few life potions I found? Do I just let this character go? Does this character have anything really important that I have to go and try and save? I am looking forward to seeing how all of our runners deal with this.
Oh yeah, I just love that, initially the plan was, let's do Catalite flags for this marathon. And then High Spirits is like, blood, we want blood. And so kept notching them up bit by bit by bit. And this is easily the cruelest flag set we've seen in a marathon. And it's a really fun flag set. If you've not given this a go, the link to the beta flags are there in chat. Moobot has the link. You should try these out a little bit and test your mettle a little bit.
Oh yeah, these are definitely some fun flags. This is the threat of permadeath is a very, very big game changer. But here we're starting. We'll see who our second character is.
Seed's too easy. Restart.
It's so free. That Rosa. Well, there's the white mage. At least they're not going to be endlessly suffering, but there's still, I'm sure we'll find lots of other things to go and cause problems, because one note of this flag is that there will only be 5 distinct characters available. You can get multiple copies of them, but you will only see 5 different characters, and we see 2 with that Palom and Rosa.
Yeah, which great characters to start with. Rosa is the best white mage in the game. She's nerfed a little bit on this flag set. We do have J spells on, which means that she doesn't get white, holy, whatever you want to call it, until I believe level 55 or so. It's a lot slower in this than the 48 she gets here in the when we're using the American spell progression. And Palom is just fantastic. Even if we can get through the Antlion Den fight, we'll have Ice 2 already, and he's already off to the races, dishing out great damage.
Yeah, if we manage to find a Siren somewhere, it might be worth, okay, we found a Siren on that bookshelf, so if we get a Magma Key, it might be worthwhile to just go underground, burn that to get the kid Quake, because he learns that at a staggeringly early level of 23.
Yep. Charm Rod in the water, probably the best item, the best Black Mage stat stick you can find, not in a trap chest or boss fight. That'll give plus 10 to Palom's Black Magic. He is ready to quack like he's never quacked before.
Palom is ready to go and show that Black Magic is his superior magic if you don't have to worry about dying, because he's probably going to kill everything before he gets much of a chance to do anything.
Yep. And it's also pretty cool that again, our starting item was a power shirt. We didn't get a key item out the gate, but that power shirt, put that on Rosa, and even with, short bow iron arrows aiming, she'll be able to knock out pretty well both the Antlion spot and the Hob spot, just to get that XP rolling, to get another character, to get a shot at a key item. But I do see that both Blaze and Scratch are doing loot early, loot often. They're going to the Watery Pass. We don't see this that often in races.
Yeah, this is an out-of-the-way spot that doesn't give anything. The Ninja Sword is nice if we find an edge, but it's definitely going to be a little slow because no source of exit. We're going to have to walk out of here. Though It's certainly rewarding them with samurai arrows and a silk web, which can be massive for the Zeromus fight.
Oh yeah, or even just later fights on the moon when you have enemies with, or in the Fey March when enemies have such high agility, and we only have 5 characters. We can't really be too picky about anchoring. We definitely can't leave a character dead to keep their agility low with permadeath. So that silk web may be a little more precious than we think.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We just don't have the ability to leave someone dead because they'll be gone at the end of the fight. So they're always going to get leveling up. And I saw an Edward in that bed. He's only an anchor in the first 5 levels that he starts at. After that, he just gets a little too fast. He's usually not people's favorite, but he can do some unique things.
Yeah, the spoon flag is not on, so he will not be swinging for tons of damage. But Hide is a very technical ability that you can get some great use out of. If you're fighting Plague, you can use it to reset the death counter, the doom counter, if you just, time your hides correctly. Golbez, of course, his dragon will only eat down to 2 visible characters, so if you hide Eddie in time, boom, you got a freebie.
That said, some of his other more powerful strats, such as hiding to go and defeat Odin with a Thunderstruck Odin, is going to be a lot less, shall we say, preferable when you're probably going to have the rest of your party dead.
Yeah, not going to do you a whole lot of good. And it looks like there are 3 Stardust items in the Damsian Treasury. Very nice. Even if we didn't have, a decent starting duo, those will let you clean up all these early fights with relative ease, as Swimmy is displaying right now.
Yeah, being up a second Rosa up on Mount Hobbs, which, sure, he's not terribly sad to go and see. Though, we don't have the ability to retrieve characters we dismiss, so part of me wonders if it would be wise to leave that Rosa there for the moment in the event. You have to take a fight without your good Rosa, or leave her down on the floor if you have to deal with, say, a Wyvern.
Yeah. Although this is pretty handy, we could now, if we want, kind of devote 1 Rosa to white magic and 1 to offense. That power robe, those samurai arrows, just like Blaze is doing, he's loading his Rosa for pure archery, and she's going to do great work.
Very good point. Rosa is a very competent melee attacker, especially with the bows that, after the short bow, you might know that short bows, archer bows, are terrible accuracy and just do pitiful damage, but the later bows are very strong. Yeah. Elven and samurai bows being very helpful.
Yeah, and it is, at least she has the aim command as well, so the short bow does have terrible accuracy, terrible attack, but we can at least mitigate the hit rate part of things. And the samurai arrows will make up for a little bit of the actual weapon weakness.
Very true, and this Odin is not going to really stand up to much because even a Lit 1 is going to do good damage to him, and Odin goes down for that 1000 HP that Spot only has. Learning his Ice 2 and getting their first key item found.
Which is the Pink Tail. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, is this flag set including no adamants, or did they leave that on? Did they give themselves that little bit of a break?
They did, in fact, leave themselves adamant, so they decided not to add that level of masochism to the seed. So once we find a hook, we'll have some adamant armor.
All right, fingers crossed then. If that hook is not... Oh, it's such a double-edged sword. So the great thing about, of course, having to get underground through the hook is that you do have to fight the King Queen Evelyn spot and the Rubicante spot, both of which pretty nasty. But, on the other hand, that means that all our racers will have an adamant armor, which I can't stand that. I would much rather them get underground access, pop that Siren if you must on a Dragon Egg. No adamant armors, please. Don't let it be that easy for them.
Oh, I think you're giving them a little too much credit. Even an adamant armor can't go and save you from the true suffering that is, say, Kanizo at Rubicant.
True.
Yes, Kanizo does damage based off his HP, not his any other stats, so he can still just absolutely destroy people, and your defense means nothing to him.
Absolutely. So get him at one of those spots that has, approaching the 65,000 HP limit, and yeah, he'll do pretty good work in spite of the adamant armor. Yeah, look, I'm not jaded. It's just this is supposed to be, Catalite Plus or whatever they're technically calling it for this run. This is supposed to be a mean flag set. and it's been very generous thus far. I'm really hoping we see a turn of a twist of the knife at some point.
Yeah, we've got some pretty nice characters in here. Edward is probably the worst, but we have a Palom, we have Rosa, and we did see Yang and the Baron Inn, so 4 of the 5 characters have been discovered. It's kind of hard to go and say it's going to be something truly brutal here, unless, we're just stuck trying to level up Yang for ages because he's our only melee fighter, and trying to get reflect kills is going to be annoying.
Yeah, without having a ready source of Star Veils in shops, you're definitely going to be not getting those reflect strats in. But again, the gear's great. Yang doesn't even need it. All he needs are levels. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed for something to stymie our runners at some point. I've been excited to see this flag set in action. I've done a couple seeds with it, and yeah, there's definitely places where you have to kind of puzzle things out, and I'm hoping that we put these racers to the test tonight.
I imagine if we go and find a Wyvern at a particularly nasty spot, requiring that is absolutely required, just as it might hold something like the Darkness Crystal or the actual Crystal, we could go and still get some of that very trademark suffering.
That is true, because again, without it being easy to agility anchor and without a source of reflect, Wyvern will be a huge speed bump.
Yes, and we're not really going to be able to go and just say, yeah, I can take half my party dead and just squeak through this fight. You're going to lose people if you don't revive them. So that's going to be another complication to Wyvern. He'll toast half your party. You might have a Star Veil 2 to go and save yourself, but then you have to go and get through the rest of the fight and either try and spend time bringing people up or let some of those people go. And someone who's not going to be letting things go is CPU, as he's just doing that very gradual, generous 10% HP damage with Mazer and slowly being whittled down by Rosa with arrows.
Yeah, definitely an annoying boss, not a particularly threatening one if you do have white mages on your team. As long as you don't knock off both the nodes, it will not do any more than 10% of your max HP per hit. Pretty easy to sustain through, but can be very annoying in places where it has a ton of HP.
Yeah, or if you just have a bunch of casters, while Rosa is a caster in general, she does go and have that archery background to back her up, because that CPU will keep wall up, and Palom's not really being able to do much to that unless he throws Quake, and then Quake will kill the other ones, which will kill more stuff, and it gets really hairy when you have just Palom trying to do this.
Yep. And we do get the package as the reward from defending the bull. Normally a spot that people aren't that eager to go to because of the time sink that it is. You have to sit through a couple of cutscenes and a very easy, just time-consuming boss battle that doesn't take too long, but and you don't get any key item progression from it. It's just a character. Unless, of course, that's where our Mist Dragon is hiding this time.
Yes, because we have what's called no free characters and no free items. In free characters, you can go around to Mysidia, Watery Pass, Damsing Castle, and Ordeals to pick up a character. Those have all been turned off because why be that generous? And the free key item, if you remember the vanilla game, Edward had a key item in the bed in the form of his twin heart. We took that off him and gave it to the Mist Dragon.
Yeah, so you have to hunt down the Mist Dragon and beat it, and then you can go speak to Rydia's mother, lying here on the ground in Mist, to get that key item check out of the way. And Swimmy is going to peek the character. I don't think did he save before running in there?
I don't remember. I must have saved after leaving Fabul, I'm hoping.
Okay. I mean, if not, it's only costing him some XP. He's not going to take the time to get that Edward. I don't blame him. It's very unlikely that the Mist Dragon is there actually gating some sort of progress. And on this flag set, Eddie's not doing you a whole lot of good compared to what his power can unleash on tamer flag sets.
Indeed, the ability to take care of his aromas solo is definitely a very impressive power, though it does require a little bit of setup and access to shops.
Yep. It will not surprise me if we see our other 3 racers also peek this, because we don't know who our 5th character is. It could be someone really good. I mean, the spot could even just be yet another Palom or Rosa, both great characters to add to your team. So at this point, the main two options we have left in the overworld are either Baron in or heading up ordeals like Swimmy is doing right now.
Indeed, and it's finding what could be a free fight in the form of either Baron guards or Kaipo guards. Also, to answer a question from chat, it is very approachable to go and not have played Final Fantasy IV and get into Free Enterprise, as there are a lot of resources in the Discord itself for Free Enterprise, and the flags are highly customizable. These are definitely the harder end of flags, as you cannot buy anything but cabins and shops. The chests are going to be pretty nice sometimes, but not amazing. You can go and make it so these chests just give you adamant armors and crystal swords, and the shops can sell anything for free. You can go and definitely get into this if you are interested. Feel free to stop by our Discord if you're looking for more.
Yeah. And good news for all the fans of one of our favorite graphical glitches in the game. That is the karate fight here in the back attack spot. He flies all the way around the planet to kick you in the back of the head. Not going direct. Apparently the animation for this always moves him to the right. And, well, if he's flip positions with you, he's still going to the right.
And this is why Yang is not a NASCAR driver. And another insult to this is that this can technically be a free fight, as after the second kick of Paladin Cecil hits Yang, he will go and just say, ouch, and end the fight. You'll notice that we can't have Paladin Cecil until we get after this point, so there is no way at all for this to have ever been free.
Zyrak and Blaze here taking the other option. D-Lunars in the first fight, not a bad spot for them. They'll only have about 200 HP apiece. Into Asura in the second spot, which great thing about Asura is that you can take your time and set the fight up. She does not attack you directly. She only counterattacks. So you can stack double slow on her. You can make sure you armor up your team if you're worried about these punches that she counters with. And notably, though, as we saw both with Swimmy shooting the Baron guards and Zyrak here shooting Asura, both those mobs are mage type. So Rosa here with either, I'm guessing it's an elven bow at this point, going with the samurai arrows, doing well into 4-digit damage on both these fights this early.
Ooh, and there's a reset, because you can't go and afford to let Asura get that heal off and lose arrows, and can't afford to have Rosa take a turn to life up second Rosa. Ooh. That is a bit of a timer loss, but that's what we're expecting in this flag set, I think.
Yep, and Swimmy gets the tower key from Mount Ordeals, has to beat Lugay to exit. Won't be too bad. This is 1,000 HP split amongst 4 different boss forms, so they should each fall fairly quickly. And yeah, you know, the Asura strat that a lot of us used in our vanilla playthroughs way back when we were young and, you know, full of hope was to put up a reflect on her. Either casting the wall spell. Now on the randomizer, of course, you can use double Star Veil items to get reflect on her that way so she can't heal herself. What we're going to be seeing from these runners is a Lifeloc strategy, as we like to call it. You want to go into a little bit of detail on that tech, Baka?
Certainly. For starters, it is not a social security insurance system. It's about preventing Asura from going and changing her faces. If you go and attack Asura right after she casts a spell, when she counterattacks, you'll notice she spins her faces a bit. It'll always go back to the spell that she just cast if you hit her immediately afterwards. So if she casts life and you hit her, she'll spin around and be back on the face to cast life again. Wait for her to cast life, and you'll be set. Hit too fast or too slow, and it'll start going and getting into different faces.
And I saw Zyrak also using the bluff command on Palom, another thing that is added back into Free Enterprise from the Japanese version of the game. As long as you don't re-equip him, it does provide an increase to his wisdom stat, and you can stack this a whole lot in combat, to where if you do have an enemy like Asura who's not attacking you, you can just stack it, and then with some spells, possibly even one-shot her.
And we find the Twin Harp here, so we know that music is required, because there are 4 key item spots open at the start of the game. Antlion Cave, Kabul Castle Defense, Mount Ordeals, and Baron Inn. One of those has to have either the way underground or lead to the way underground, and Twin Harp is the only key item we can go and get another key item out of that we can access, because Tower Key, that's locked underground.
Yep. And our tracker Simbu pointing out in chat that because that demist does block one key item, it is theoretically possible that we could have a vanilla demist, a package demist, a waterfall demist, or worst case scenario, a Magus Sisters demist that could also block our way. Highly unlikely. We're probably going to see it through Cave Magnus.
Very true. That is definitely, I have seen demist and actually all of those locations holding something rather important. But we do know that in the waterfall, it is not demist because we saw, I think, Scratch Dragon check there and find the elements.
Gotcha. So a few of these spots already marked off the list. Now, normally with this team, especially with a base level Yang, I would be extremely worried about going to the Cave Magnus. The Dark Elf spot has nearly maximum magic defense, so your Palam's not really going to be useful here. But we do have at this point a Rosa with a power shirt or heroine robe. Scratch just found one of those. We have samurai bows. We have samurai arrows. Basically, Rosa is about to carry this team through a physical fight, and I am here for it.
When doesn't Rosa carry the team, to be entirely honest? But yeah, that heroine robe is going to be a very big help, as Power Robe gives plus 15 strength. Heroine robe gives plus 15 strength and plus 15 agility, so Rosa's going to be super fast, super strong, though she's going to be a bit lacking in her spellcasting, as she's only going to have probably one in each stat, because it gives minus 15 to each casting stat.
Yep. But Scratch Dragon setting up both Roses to be masterful archers. There are certain boss fights that could still be really annoying here. Anything that counters physical attacks will be pretty tricky for our runners to overcome. So here's hoping for a rude fight that lets us listen to the Twin Heart music for a very long time.
Oh yeah, and to answer a question from chat, who is in first place? That is not an easy question to answer, because that is very dependent on what routes runners are taking right now. We have, what the runners know is that 2 of them have gone and completed Baron Inn and found it, or excuse me, I believe all of them have completed Baron Inn at this point, and know that they can either go to Cave Magnus and try and get something from there, or they can go upward deals like Moonblaze and Zyrak are. So there's still things for them to go and find. It's not going to be apparent who is in first until we're much further along in the seed.
Yeah, and Boss is asking, is this forged with no additional objective? This is not even forged the crystal. You will find the crystal outright at some point. The nice thing, though, about the Catalite flags is that there are no random encounters. All the XP you get has to be either from Siren fights, trap chests, or bosses. So even if you do find an early crystal, you still have a lot of legwork to do in powering your team up to actually be able to fight Zeromus. So this isn't going to be too coin flippy, like, Scratch Dragon checks the exact spot he needed to first. If he does, he still has work to do before he can beat the final boss.
Oh yeah, we can go and have our runners and have a darkness crystal and a actual crystal in their inventory and be still very far away from Gobo, just because they need to figure out how to get enough experience on their characters. As you said, no random encounters. You can't just start walking around trying to get a bit of experience. No shop selling only cabins is going to go and mean I can't go and buy sirens and find encounters that way. You have to find them either in trap chests or in bosses, and then you need your characters to all survive the fights because of permadeath. This is going to be a bit tricky for our runners.
Yeah. And again, do not want to specifically say someone's in the lead now. You may have a slight idea when someone goes underground first. Whoever makes it there may have an early lead, but there's still a lot of checks underground and a lot of checks to make on the moon. So it's really hard to say this person's in the lead, but look for that. If I did have to pick someone, I would say Swimmy right now. He's finished off the rest of his overworld checks and is headed to this last option, the Twin Harp.
Indeed, but he might be missing some of the loot that other characters have found, so that could definitely be going in, giving them an advantage that will compound and bring them up fast, bring them faster further later on.
Absolutely. And, before we get the music underway, we do want to give a huge shout out to the newest member of the Free Enterprise dev team, and that is Calamity is taking over for board on Twin Harp duty. So, huge shout out to Calamity. I think I saw you in the chat earlier. Thank you for assisting with that. I believe this is the first one of Calm Twin Harp songs we're going to be hearing today. And this should, going forward, make us able to have a lot more Twin Harp songs in the pool, and Board can just focus on the programming side of things. So, very excited to hear this music. Get your Freen harps out, any music emotes. I'm excited to hear this.
Oh yeah, I'm always excited for new music. It's probably one of the most fun parts of Free Enterprise, just hearing what you can go and get out of the seed. So maybe being a bit bold and not choosing to save beforehand and just going straight into this fight.
I can kind of understand this. There is, of course, if for some reason Swimmy can't handle the boss, he's probably not going to get to a state where he can handle it just by doing in this cave. He may go to Evelyn Castle, take the random chest there for experience and extra loot. But if this is just a boss that can't be handled, probably doesn't want to spend the time walking back out.
Very fair indeed. And yes, those Evelyn Castle chests can go and give a fair amount of experience, which Yang is going to need before he can do much. A very big part of Yang is that his damage comes heavily from his levels, so he's very unlikely to actually be able to contribute much for a while, I think.
Yep. Anyway, we're about to hear those sweet, sweet tunes. I'm going to be quiet. I want to hear this harp song. We'll be right back with y'all, chat. And chat was pretty much stumped, so a huge shout out to Swimmy for taking the time to talk to the harp, revealing it's the Junior Troopa theme from, I believe that said Mario 64.
Definitely not a theme that I was very familiar with, so thank you to Swimmy for showing that off, and showing off that if you're ever curious about what song it is playing, you can always ask the harp, and after the fight, you can talk to the harp again to get it to play at any point in time.
Ah, gotcha. Paper Mario, not Mario 64. I just saw Mario. My bad. Mammoth here, not the worst fight. Starts out a little speedy, but after the first 3 hits, it loses a tentacle and slows down. Every 2 hits after that, loses another tentacle, slows down more. So after a few rounds, it's too slow to really, keep up with your team in the fight. These roses can then, if anyone's knocked out, life them up, heal them up. Not going to be any challenge getting through this Mammoth fight.
Oh yeah, and if we had a Thunderclaw for Yang would be doing a fair bit more damage just because he's biggest strength of Yang is that he's got the elemental claws that will go and usually do 4 times damage to anything with an elemental weakness. Very, very helpful.
Oh yeah. Your other big melee attackers, they can get, flame spears and fire swords, both pretty darn weak though. Ice Brand and Blizzard Spear, not too bad. But Yang can get all these claws usually fairly easily. They're low tier loot, but those weaknesses are definitely something to take advantage of.
And Swimmy is paying very close attention to his arrow count, going into his inventory and checking because he wants to make sure he doesn't lose his last samurai arrow. The reason why he cares about that samurai arrow so dearly is it's a little glitch that we can go and exploit if you want to talk about that a bit in Venerable.
Yeah. So as long as a character's turn does not come back around, the game does not check to tick their arrows down to 0. So for instance, if we start a fight with Rosa and she takes that first shot with her last arrow, well, if the fight ends, you still got the arrow. More importantly though, once you have access to sources of Berserk, probably in the form of the Burst spell, probably not going to find too much Bacchus wine this run, a Rosa can then Zerk herself with her final arrow, and because she Zerks herself, her turn never comes back in the queue, and thus it will never consume that last arrow as long as she doesn't get knocked out and brought back to life. So we can take that one arrow and make it last a very long time. It's really nice if you get it with Artemis arrows, just because it's even stronger, have that strength versus dragons. Fun little trick that we definitely take advantage of.
Yes, a very, very effective trick as well. But Swimmy has found our magma key. No Adamant Armor yet, so Inven gets his wish.
I mean, good news, no Adamant Armor. Bad news, like you pointed out, they found that Siren very early. Palom already has Virus. You can go pop it on the Peninsula of Power, fight a Yellow Dragon Egg, do a bluff or two, throw that Virus spell, and the next thing you know, you're going to get another 6 or so levels on everyone in this team.
Yeah, this team is about to get very strong because Yang will go and catch up on some levels as well, and we'll get to see what's underground as unless we want to go and check the first boss in Tower of Zot to see if it's Mist Dragon, we're out of checks overworld.
Yep. And I don't think anyone's going to be making that long shot of a play. One thing that is a little sad with kind of how linear this overworld was is that we're kind of having to condense our music checks here. It's everyone's there at the same time, more or less. We're not getting 4 separate renditions, but still, you'll love to see a music required scene.
Oh yeah, it's always fun to go and get that, and it's always interesting to have those come up overworld as they do go in funnel runners, and right now it looks like Swimmies are forerunner, but that can easily change with just some bad fight luck, different checks leading people to different rabbit holes, or just needing to go and find different grinds.
Yeah, and Delta Wave's in chat asking, does one of the mages learn an exit spell? Rosa's is based on an event. You have to complete the Tower of Zod, and that requires the Earth Crystal. If we had Porum, she would learn it innately at a certain level. Tella comes with it. Fu learns it after enough fights in Free Enterprise, if you're doing his spell progression that we frequently do. So yeah, we have to walk pretty much everywhere. Cecil also gets exit in the teens, so not so bad.
Yeah, Cecil will pretty quickly have exit after you've turned him into a paladin.
So Baka, at this point, what would you do when you get underground? Would you go ahead and pop this Siren? Would you try to get a 5th character from Dwarf Castle? Would you check your freebie items? What's your game plan if you're in Swimmy shoes right here?
I think I go for maybe freebie items, but definitely get Quake on the Quake Kid. We've got when you get a 5th character, we'll go and activate the Slingshot, which, when you have a character who's more than 5 levels behind the median level of the party, they'll gain double experience, which will let them catch up very quickly. So I think getting that, burning that Siren, getting Quake will let me go and just get through more of the stuff underground, because Quake is just that overpowered. And if I find someone else, they'll catch up quickly enough with double experience.
Fair enough. Swimmy there, by the way, doing one of those things that you can tell how people who run this game regularly, your brain has to swap things up based on the flag set. Reflexively threw away. If you see someone open a chest twice, you can press the R button to not take the item, which is great for managing your inventory, but it's still there until you leave the screen. And so Swimmy reflexively saw lightning arrows and was like, no. And he's like, wait a minute. I am churning through arrows with these 2 roses. I better take them after all.
And an Ashura summon getting special notice just because, well, if we didn't have Rosa, we would need to go and have another way of healing, and we haven't seen the 5th character yet. It could be Rydia, and Ashura lets Rydia heal.
High Spirits delighted in chat with that Sand Ruby. Gives us yet another Edward if we want him. And did you see those 2 Feymarch bosses?
Oh, I saw someone good to use those lightning arrows on, and another character just, ugh.
Yeah, that Golbez fight is, oh my goodness. If that blocks the way to the moon, that will be so nice.
That would definitely go and get rid of it'd be pretty easy to lose a Porum with, or it's going to be a Palom with Quake to that, because you'll probably want to take your Rosa and Yang to the moon, and just try and go up from there.
Swimmy here, by the way, is going right for the 2 freebies, just gathering knowledge and gathering what items he can get without a challenge here. We don't know that 5th character, and of course there are other things, like if we find an Earth Crystal, all of a sudden the entire treasury at Troya is available. Oh, and our Dwarven job friend is a petroleum refinery operator.
In the middle of the game, he's a farmer, but if we're randomizing everything else in the game, why not randomize his job?
Yep. And, I think that's kind of appropriate. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I figured dwarves, pretty easy to find pockets of oil along with all those precious metals, right? Right.
And they probably need something to go and power their homes, because it's not going to be very bright outside for the glowing pits of lava around.
Swimming here, about to make the Sheila 1 check. Of course, if you find an early pan, you can do both these checks at once, along with the bonus one with the sylphs in their cave. But this one, if you have underground access, is completely free. It costs you a little bit of time, but sometimes Sheila's got the goods. Let's see if she has them for Swimmy today.
Yeah, if she gives something helpful, well, the white robe does qualify as helpful, but that means that our key item spots available right now are the Lower Tower of Babel, the Cannon Room in the Lower Tower of Babel, Dwarf Castle, and those 2 Feymarch bosses who don't look terribly pleasant to me.
Yeah, no, those are fights that are already very challenging. The vanilla game kind of assumes that you're going there relatively late, probably after you completed most of the rest of the underworld, if not part of the moon even. So the stats on them are pretty rude. Luckily, though, the Golbez and the Leviathan spot will not use physical attacks, which is Leviathan's greatest strength. And the Leviathan in the Asura spot only uses magical attacks. So, not too bad, but definitely nothing we could complete at these levels, I think.
Not without going and taking a lot of losses, I think, because neither of those seem terribly pleasant. Leviathan is sometimes easy to consider free because, he only uses magical attacks, and I can throw up Star Veils to go and stop that, and maybe throw potions to stop the big wave if it does it enough times, but you can't really throw infinite Star Veils at him, so he's a lot more dangerous now.
And Swimmy here opting to use Stop, and then self-zerking Rosa to let her take this thing down. Stop, of course, will not last terribly long here, but probably long enough for Swimmy to get the kill.
Indeed, these eggs have about, 1820 HP or something.
Mm-hmm.
They're not that dangerous, but if you hit them once when they can react, they'll hatch and turn into yellow dragons and start throwing lightning and punches and all sorts of other fun things that will murder your team.
Yep. But Swimmy gets through without an issue, and just as we expected, gets Quake on Palom. And let's see, not going for Dwarf Castle, opting to pursue this tower key. It is a very easy boss fight up here. There are 4 alerts in Trap Chest that can also give great gear, and he did get those lightning arrows in the Feymarch cave. So his Rosa will be able to do quadruple damage if he decides he wants to do a little more looting this in this tower.
And it looks like he does, because he's going for those chests, and I don't blame him. Those alerts, if you throw the lightning arrows on Rosa, she's going to go and do extra damage. She can self-berserk herself to make sure she just one-shots the alerts, so they never get a chance to summon their little friends. And you can find something good in there. You could... I don't want to go and suggest this is something you could find, because I would hate for our runners to actually find it, but you could find an Adamant Armor in there.
Oh, yeah. Snowfire, one of the Japanese items that's added back into the Free Enterprise randomizer is the Siren Idol. If you use this in any place you can find random encounters, it will summon the rarest pack in that zone. And we found 1 Siren early on in Rosa's mom's house, and the rarest encounter on that peninsula is a yellow dragon egg. So that's how we got that fight, even though random encounters are turned off.
And something you can do here, if you're really desperate for experience, is not stop this alert and not try and kill it in one shot, but punch it and let it start summoning friends, because you can just infinitely summon fights off these. Well, fungally infinitely. There is a cap to how many monsters you can kill in a fight, but it's still a lot of experience if you try and do that.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to see any of our racers being that desperate with this team, but I've definitely had true Cataseeds where that's kind of been the only option.
Well, we just saw a sealed and evil wall in Dwarf Castle, so maybe someone will get that desperate.
Yeah, the Calbrena spot here, where this evil wall is, has pretty high strength and decent speed. It is going to be hitting this party very hard, and Scratch should not go into this fight at full health. I think we're going to see a pretty quick reset here.
Yeah, this is not a fight. This is just not a pretty fight. I don't know if his Palom even has Quake, and that could be pretty important for this fight, as that 2,000 or 3,000 damage that Quake can do is going to be a big chunk of this Evil Wall's health.
Yeah, to say nothing of the additional levels that that Swimmy, for instance, got from beating that egg.
Indeed, the extra HP will also probably come into play, but yeah, there goes the reset. This is an ugly fight.
Yeah. And also, I just noticed that Scratch Dragon's tracker does not have the tower key. I'm guessing he did not make the ordeals play like our other racers did. If it is possible that it's just not highlighted on the tracker at this point, but if so, that's keeping him from relatively easy experience like Swimmy's getting, some great extra gear, and whatever key items lie behind the actual cannon room.
Very true. Ordeals is a pretty if you don't have Cecil or Tella, it's very common for people to just want to skip that, saying, I don't want to fight 3 bosses and get 1 key item for this. I'd rather go and do something else. So it's not uncommon.
Anyway, Zyrax also hopping in here. Now, again, I admit, because I perceive Swimmy to be a little bit in the lead, I've been focusing more on him, seeing what he's been getting from these trap chests. Did Zyrak pop a Siren to power up his team?
I believe Zyrak did. I think I saw that happen in the bottom corner. The experience definitely, or the HP definitely looks like he's got that egg down, and pretty sure he's going to go and have Quake on his kid, so that would make sense to me.
Yeah. Capitalizing on this blink spell, giving you 2 free physical hits, and great defense. Sometimes protection is better than outright healing. And so let's see what Zyrak does with his white mages here to keep the team up and going.
Making good use of that blink spell, as for the most part, Evil Wall just punches people. Blink absorbs the next 2 physical punches. Though you can't do that forever, as Evil Wall will eventually go and decide it has a crush on you and start giving you very, very deadly hugs.
Yeah, an insta-kill attack after it's made its way across the field. I believe it's like 15 or 18 little, shuffling across the battlefield. However, with all these blinks, with Quake, shouldn't be a problem. Although, that Rosa took a big hit at the worst possible time.
Yeah, this is an ugly spot for it. What's not in an ugly spot are the Kaipo guards. They're a pretty free fight, especially when there's an hourglass I saw someone pulled out. And this is a very, very weak, low HP spot.
Yeah, this is where in vanilla you would fight the 3 Dark Imps, so not a lot of stats. I actually bet that our racers hate seeing this fight here, because it is vulnerable to other things, like the Toad spell. Palom has that already. Could use that on them in a much higher HP, higher stat spot. So, seeing easy bosses in an easy spot, not the dream. But, it's better than having something you can't beat, I suppose.
Yep, though it looks like Scratch Dragon did manage to get through that Evil Wall, though he is looking a little low on HP on some of his party members, so let's see who this next boss is, because there is no break here. We'll also get to see who the 5th character is here.
Yeah, there's an Ogopogo here that... Okay, that's not Ogopogo, and the physical attack here is really low. I don't think Scratch is in any actual danger, and that is Edge for our 5th character.
Yeah, but there's very easy to go and have that Palom go down quickly. Let's see how much HP. Ooh, this is more HP than he was looking for.
Yeah.
Oh, this is...
Oh yeah, it's the magic attack here that's really low. The physical attack's still high enough to do a couple hundred a swat, but it looks like Scratch is opting to sacrifice a character. No life potions here. He's letting that middle Rosa go.
I'd blame him, but he did invest a lot of time in that Evil Wall fight. Yeah, he's...
Oh, and he takes the reset. So, just more resets. The seed doesn't have any true casualties yet. I really thought he was going to go for it. He has that full moon. I think he will... Yeah, Scratch looted the Watery Pass earlier. He has a full moon and a ninja blade. I don't hate sacrificing a Rosa for that Edge at that point.
I agree. I think that was an acceptable loss. It hurts, I agree, but you have 1 Rosa. You can definitely go... Oh, he might not be trying to reset. He didn't do any equip changing, but he might not be resetting for the Rosa. He might be resetting for Rosa's gear.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Hoya Javis in chat asking, why not hit DKC to buy time? Well, the problem with that is that if you punch him, you do get 3 more turns of Dark Waves to try to level everyone up, but that's another 600-ish damage that this team doesn't really have the HP to soak. So that would be kind of the problem there. Some attacks will not cause him to repeat his script. Like, for instance, I don't think jump or aim or power do, but you're not actually improving your situation. After 3 Dark Waves without an attack, you get your Justice Speech, and boom, you're on your merry way.
Speaking of things that don't go and get easier as it goes on, Ogopogo is apparently on top of tower. Ogopogo is probably my least favorite and, gets my nomination for rudest jerk in this game. He counterattacks magic with Blaze. He opens with a double wave that does 25% max HP of the character of each of your party members each time it hits, so goodbye half of your health. And then he punches you repeatedly, so there is no safe thing that he does.
Yeah, and there's great strats in friendlier flag sets to deal with this snake. You can, of course, put Star Veils or Walls on your party and bounce spells off if you have mostly magical damage. We are lacking those comforts and are just having to kind of take the old-fashioned way. Gonna have to chew through this 19,000-ish HP with attacks and hope that we have enough MP to keep the rest of the team going.
Yeah, and that Yang is taking some serious punches in the front row too, that's the worst part about Ogopogo. He just goes and burns you down. He is the biggest grind wheel around, I think. He's going to take out he's going to do damage constantly, never let up, and you want to get things like Blinks and Berserks out, but you'll just have to keep healing to try and keep up.
Yeah. Zyrak, meanwhile, looks like he's in control over here with the Dark Knight fight. Did have those bonus levels from popping that Siren, so all 5 of his characters are set to survive this. We're about to get another key item check, and more importantly, Zyrak has an edge on the team. Great additional physical damage here.
Yeah, that identifies all the characters in the seed. I don't mind how this team is balanced out. It's actually pretty well balanced. You have a white mage, a black mage, 2 fighters, and then you have Edward.
Yeah, right now, as far as who's in the lead, I would say that Swimmy and Zyrak have each forged the newest territory. Swimmy's the only one of our racers to have gone up the tower, and Zyrak is the first one of our racers to be able to clear Dwarf Castle.
And looks like I think Moon is getting through the fight, but he might be losing his Palom.
And Swimmy gets a beautiful edge weapon from the top fight here, and more importantly, about 26,000 experience for his team. His team is looking very strong. He will not have any of the problems in Dwarf Castle that everyone else had, and more importantly, getting an edge to use that sword. Swimmy is looking pretty good at this point.
I agree. Swimmy is going to be in a very, very happy spot, I think, once he gets through Dwarf Castle, if he decides to go there next, and I don't think he has a good reason not to.
Yeah. And Murasame is Edge's second best weapon. It competes with the Ninja Blade. Sometimes it's better to have one or the other, just depending on the level Edge is at, because of how agility multipliers work in this game. But Masamune is the number 1 Edge weapon, but you will not turn down any of the other named swords for sure.
Yeah, that -5 agility is pretty easy to mitigate if you have an anchor. Without an anchor, I would consider that a stronger drawback, all things considered, because losing turns can be pretty hefty.
Yeah. Zyrak here, of course, getting the... Oh, that's funny. The tower, kind of a waste of time, except for the other loot. The spoon, of course, cannot be equipped by Edward on this flag set. We may have given them Adamant Armor access, but not that. So, kind of a bust for Swimmy for now. No progression, just XP and loot. Zyrak, by the way, finding the pan, which means that he's going to only have to do 1 dip into Sylph Cave, unlike Swimmy, who is going to ultimately have to do 2. And really nicely, there's a Star Veil in that pod on the 2nd floor of the East Dwarf Castle Tower. Star Veil, very nice to see at this point.
Yeah, with Wyvern out somewhere, that's going to be worth its weight in gold, if not more. I do not mind finding one of those.
Absolutely. Starveil, of course, is a self-targeting reflect item. It lasts far longer than pretty much any of your mages' reflect spells will last. Great pickup. You love to buy several of them on flag sets where you can actually buy stuff. This one, of course, only cabins in shops. So whatever you find, you got to make it work.
Oh yeah, those are some of the definitely some of the most important items to buy from shops when you can buy more than cabins from them. And to answer a question from chat, what's the average time? Depends very heavily on the flags that we have. The flags we have right now are definitely some of the harder, so we have a 2.5 hour estimate. But our other most recent event, the Highway to the Zenith Zone, somewhere between 1.5 hours to 2 hours was pretty average. We've even had some flag sets called Apple Seeds, which ended in 15 minutes for a first place finish or less.
Yeah, one of our racers in the group chat while they were discussing the race for this actually had a practice seed just the other day that finished in 1 hour 23 minutes. I don't think we're going to see this one complete anywhere near that quickly.
Yeah, maybe if that magma key was a bit more free and that Siren was we had 1 or 2 extra palums and we were just dropping everything down holes, we might have had that. But I agree. I think we're going to be going for a bit longer today.
Yeah. Oh, and Sunfall, I'll expound upon that. It does say 5 distinct characters. There are normally 12 total characters you can get in Free Enterprise or Vanilla Final Fantasy IV. But this flag set means you will only find a variety of 5. You may find, so in the 13 character slots in the game, you could find 6 roses, 2 edges, and then you could have, 1 of each of the others. It just means that you will at max find 5 different characters. So nomenclature may be a little less clear than it ought to be, but I hope that clears it up for you.
Yeah, we used to go and in the World Series of Free Enterprise, we did not have the ability, or we turned off the ability to have duplicate characters, so it would only be those 5 characters who could join your party, and 1 of each. And in this case, we decided we're going to go and let duplicates stay, but if you end the fight with any of them dead, they're gone.
Yeah, the permadeath flag that's been added, definitely, it's very kind to include that. Otherwise, our racers may end up in a little bit of trouble, given some of the bosses that we know are lurking further along.
Yeah, but it looks like we've got pretty much everyone through that dwarf castle now, unless I'm terribly mistaken. And Swimmy just taking 1 shot while others have tried to take multiple shots.
Yeah. Scratch, though, going to have a very well-equipped ninja. Swimmy as well, of course, with the sword he found. Zyrak, by the way, finding the Earth Crystal from Sheila 2, which is fantastic. This means that we unlock another, 18 chests in the Troya Treasury. Maybe seeing some really good equipment coming out of this for our racers.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a pretty big boon. We could even just go and find a lot of nice stuff. A life potion, it would be amazing to find.
You've never been so excited about a lonely life potion as you are when playing permadeath and no shops.
Oh yeah, that is you cry tears of release like, oh god, I have a life potion. I can save my white mage in a fight.
Oh yeah, Blywin. The current the beta right now, I mean, Free Enterprise in general is very modular, very customizable. You can make pretty much any flag set that caters to your particular playstyle, and that's definitely something you can create.
To answer a question from chat, there is not a randomizer like Free Enterprise for 6 where it starts very open and you are on a scavenger hunt, but there is the Beyond Chaos randomizer, which randomizes a lot of things, but not the order you progress through the game.
Yeah. And chat pointing out that Zyrak, well, actually, no, pardon me. I thought someone mentioned the Adamant Armor, but you can't get that without the hook, so that's not an option yet. Zyrak's going to come up here and clear Babel, just like Swimmy did. That means his ninja will be a little stronger, both by having a good weapon and a really great item to throw. But I'm guessing Swimmy at this point is going to give us our first peek into Troya after this, if Scratch doesn't go there immediately. Just because Swimmy has only 2 options left. Either up into the Tower of Zot, or to those Feymarch bosses, and I don't think he's going for those Feymarch fight.
I wonder if Swimmy holds off on Earth and tries to take out Golbez first, because casualties are pretty likely in that, and you can't find a character, dismiss them, and get them back later, like you can in some other flag sets. It's either add them now or forever they'll be gone. So he might want to go and take some acceptable losses on that Golbez fight and then do Earth to restock his team.
Yeah, but the question is, do you think that his team is capable of making it through a 35,000 HP Golbez at Leviathan right now? I think even with his extra gear and levels, that's probably not happening for Swimmy.
We do have a Star Veil, we do have a Spoon and an Edge. It might be something you can try.
Well, I know Zyrak got a Star Veil. Did Swimmy go up that east tower in Dwarf Castle as well?
Good point. He might not have gone and done that. That's a very good point.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to pursue the Baron Key that we got from... Actually, where did we get that Baron Key?
It was from the Sylphs themselves. Sylphs
Gotcha.
gave the Baron Key. Sheila 2 gave the Earth Crystal. I think Sheila 1 was a Sand Ruby?
Sheila 1 was a white robe, which is great.
Oh, right.
We can have both Rosa Warrior Princess and the best white mage you've ever had, Rosa. So, honestly, I love her utility, just the fact that you can turn her either into a really great bruiser with the right equipment, or just have her go pure white mage. And I'm sure Swimmy is appreciating that right now as well.
Yeah, speaking of appreciating things, we found some rather nice stuff. An elixir, a ninja sword, and a ninja shirt in the Troya Treasury. That ninja shirt's not usually something we get excited about because it doesn't give the good stats that the black belt does, but is a very strong defensive piece of equipment, and that defense matters a lot more on permadeath.
Yeah, we usually... Ninja Shirt is a little bit of a meme in the community. In fact, one of when we do 2v2 competition, one of my favorite team names is Team Ninja Shirt. In version 3 of the randomizer, there was gear you could get at key item spots that was specifically disappointing. Usually a Drain Spear, a Ninja Shirt, a glass helmet if you're later in the game. So definitely something that we're surprisingly happy to see.
It does so much for us that it can actually help.
Swimmy did not heal his team here. I mean, whether this is Gauntlet or Water Hag is not that much of a threat either way, but it can probably still hit for 1 damage if you don't get this Cure 3 off quickly.
Very true, and that is an easy oversight to make because people forget about those whole damage tiles doing something.
Yep. Gets the Cure 3 off. No problems here. This Water Hag shouldn't be hitting hard enough at the buy-in spot, especially not with the gear that Swimmy's rocking. Should be fine here.
And Swimmy has named Edward exactly what Swimmy thinks of Edward with the words "Dead Boy."
Fight, Dead Boy, fight!
To be entirely honest, I do think we might see an Edward join one of the parties at some point, just because we do have a Sand Ruby. He does start at very low agility, and you can go and just pick up Edward and take him straight into the Zeromus fight as a sacrifice to the agility anchoring gods.
Yeah, definitely a possibility. And with if we don't see more Palums, we're probably not going to be doing... we may do hybrid strats at Zeromus, where we do both good physicals and magic attacks. It's really hard to get enough levels on Rosa with the J-Spells flag to get her up to Holy to be helping out with reflect strats. This team's shaping up very, very nice for hybrid. 2 Zerkers, a reflect, and some nukes bounced off by Palom. And Zeromus, I'm not worried about on this flag set. It's all these other bosses in the interim that are a little scary.
Very true, though Swimmy Leone does have 10 key items, which now turns on double experience for him, which is going to go and make it a lot easier to get Palom up to nuke, which takes about 200,000, or excuse me, not 200,000, 900,000 experience.
Snowfire asking in the chat, is Edge throwing crap any good without stores? How's his supply with these flags? You can find decent throwing stuff in these chests. You can find both Shuriken and Fuma Shuriken. You can find Drain Spears, which are actually pretty good throwing material. We do have the Spoon, which is a key item, one of the best. Excalibur's the second best throwing item, are going to probably be fewer and further between, but it's not unreasonable to get a few good throwing things. However, with the weaponry we found, Edge is probably better off just swinging or getting berserked and going wild with his blades.
Yeah, we might want to go and save some throwables for if we find, unless I'm mistaken, we have not seen Valvalis, and big advantage of Edge and Throw is that it doesn't miss.
Yeah, and there's no Kane in our 5 distinct characters, so there's no breaking the tornado today. Luckily, though, we should have the levels pretty soon to be able to just break through her physical defense, but every bit of bonus damage helps, and Throw, Aim, both very handy.
Indeed, and we do see that Scratch Dragon has gone up to the top of Zot, and he's found another edge up there.
You kind of get diminishing returns after a little bit with edges, though, just depending on how many blades you found for them.
I agree. It's definitely something where you need to go and have some very good ninja swords. I wonder if you actually take either of them here, along with this extra Palom.
Well, Blaze just found another ninja sword in the little 3-chest room where you get your supplies in the vanilla game before heading out. So if Blaze ends up going up Zod, I bet he takes the second edge. Scratch, I did not see which teammates he swapped. I was briefly looking over to see the equipping going on elsewhere.
Well.
Oh, this is beautiful. Oh.
Well, I feel silly suggesting that you should go and save Zot for later so you can go and pick up more characters. You're going to lose characters here unless you can one-shot that dragon.
And it's right after the character exchange, too. That is so nasty. Oh. And Swimmy finding the other Mega Nuker, Bahamut, at the Odin spot, without enough sources of Reflect to deal with it. Although, honestly, I bet that Swimmy could break through that fight with enough, with just enough sheer DPS. He has the spoon. He does have a very well-equipped edge. He has the Berserk spell. No Artemis arrows don't work on Bahamut anyway. They do work on Wyvern. So I think Swimmy may be able to handle that fight. He may end up going back there when he sees what's up here.
He may need to save that spoon to throw Wyvern, though, to get through that.
Yeah. That's a good point, because Swimmy does have that crystal ring. He also has, that's the main bit of speed. He has ninja hats, which give +3 agility. Swimmy's strat here may be to load Edge up with agility gear and turn battle speed down if necessary, or run buffer to get the spoon throw before the Mega Nuke comes out. I think Swimmy can actually handle this Wyvern fight.
I think so too, especially because Palom is really good at a lot of things. Agility is not one of them. He's pretty slow. He could make a fine anchor.
Yeah, I'm going to double check right quick. Let's pull up the boss stats at this spot. I'm curious what Wyvern's exact base agility is here. Of course, Final Fantasy IV uses relative agility, where it looks at your center character or Cecil, and then multiplies things by 5, and then does division, and figures things out that way to see your actual relative agility. Base agility at the Val spot is 18. I think Swimmy can make this work.
Scratch went and tried, and he managed to get a turn after loading the battle speed. He managed to get a turn with Rosa, Yang, and Edge. He did not have the spoon, so Edge only had to drain spear to throw and was not able to go and kill that Wyvern and stuck walking out of this tower. Swimmy, I think, is in good shape to go and just kill this outright, not have to worry about Starvels or anything.
Agreed. I bet he'll still take a wipe here, but it won't take long to run back up there and fling a spoon.
I agree, but he might not save after this King Queen Evelyn fight, and we'll have to go through that again.
Blaze, meanwhile, going to give this Bahamut fight a swing. Yeah, the Odin spot, on the other hand, is pretty fast. A speed of 43 to 46 for the base agility here. So it's going to be very difficult, actually, to get this 20,500 damage out before Bahamut Mega Nukes the team.
Yeah, and there's looks like a Starvell's going out on Palom, but I don't know if that's going to go and be enough. And maybe Moon is just thinking, I want to see what's behind here to see if it's worth going and trying to actually do this. Meanwhile, we do see Zyrak is up at the top of Zot, battling Ogopogo, trying to get through that fight, which he should be able to get through without horrible difficulty, though he may be getting slowed down a bit.
And Swimmy does take the other edge, has a full moon and a long blade for him, pretty nicely equipped. Of course, all this menuing may be happening twice. Let's see how he handles the surprise wyvern.
And I see he chose to take them over a Yang, I believe, instead of losing a Rosa.
That's right. Double Berserk is very nice, again, just because of the lack of Bacchus wines.
And I think Swimmy was checking very hard to see if he had the wall spell available.
Hey, there's an edge turn. Just fling that spoon, Swimmy. Oh, he's hoarding it. He's hoarding it.
We'll see if he hoards it a second time.
Apparently, Blaze's reward for beating up Bahamut was a glass hat. Takes the reset. Not going to be struggling to win that fight.
Well, if you can go and get 20,000 experience or 20,000 damage out fast enough later on, it's some experience, and Glass Hat can be pretty helpful for the Moon when you can't just throw endless hourglasses and stop a lot of fights. You just need to go and actually fight them fair.
Yeah. Swimmy opting to leave Zot altogether, not wanting to part ways with his spoon. I am surprised here.
I agree. That I wonder if he's going to go and see if he can find an Excalibur in these chests or something else to throw at that wyvern.
Could be. Stevie in chat asking, what is a randomizer? Well, over the last few years, people have taken a lot of classic games from our youths on, Nintendo, Game Boy, Super Nintendo, all the way up to N64 and, that generation, and randomize the contents. You can have different characters in different places, different items in different places. Popular ones include this one. The Legend of Zelda Link to the Past randomizer has big tournaments each year. It's the way to revisit the games of your youth while, having a little variety, a little spice to the mix. Rutzors, the Fey March bosses are, Dr. Cossack has you covered. Golbez, Leviathan, Edisura.
Not people you really want to go and spend a lot of time getting close to, but because Golbez will still go and open up with just killing off down to 2 party members. Well, 2 visible party members, but I don't think our runners are interested in going and picking up an Edward at this point.
So we're finding one of the trap chests here, the double black cat or Querl before they changed the translation, and a Lamia queen. Or just a Lamia. The queen is further in the upper babble. Great XP here, of course, because Swimmy is getting double from the 10 key item count.
Yeah, getting that extra experience could help, but Hourglass 2 is not the worst thing to find if you want to go and take out some moon encounters. Or some other encounters.
Which, again, given that and a life potion! There's that life potion you were looking for.
We struck gold here in Eblin.
150 gold piece life potion. That's all we ever wanted.
It is so near and dear to our hearts, or at least Rose's heart.
Yeah, so Swimmy gonna do this last little bit of looting. There is still, of course, a trap chest in the Feymarch cave with 5 warriors. That can also be a great source of XP. There are 7 trap chests in the Sylph cave. So if, again, our racers decide they just want to go for brute force rather than trying to figure out some sneaky way past these bosses, we're probably going to see a lot of these trap chests covered in the next few minutes on this race.
Yeah, because experience is good, and you can go and find things like Adamant Armors and Excaliburs and Dragoon Spears and whatnot, which you might not be able to go and equip them on your characters, but Edge can throw them, and Swimmy does want to go and throw some very nice sharp pointy sticks at that wyvern. He also did find a cursed ring in Castle Evelyn, which will be pretty helpful as it would likely let him get 4 turns out with his characters.
Yeah, Cursed Ring, a shockingly valuable item in Free Enterprise, just because, again, of how the game balances out the agilities. If you make your center character ridiculously slow, then every other character in the combat, your other slow characters, along with ridiculously fast bosses, will all be getting turns at the same rate. And you can definitely take advantage of this for things like that Wyvern fight. It can help a lot at other speedy spots like that Leviathan that we have to fight at Asura's spot. So great value here in Evelyn Castle.
Oh yeah, that's probably one of my favorite items to find that's not, well, I like to say it's not completely stupidly broken, but it is broken in its own very different way.
And Sunfall, Free Enterprise uses the vanilla stat gains, which, except for HP, are consistent at all levels until you hit level 70. At level 70, you do get random stat gains per level, but most Free Enterprise seeds, you're not having to go all the way to level 70 to beat the game anyway.
If you're going to level 70, you have done something very, very industrious, or you're trying to beat Zeromus with a team of 5 Edwards legitimately. And we saw Sweeney Leone did pick up a life staff in Castle Evelyn, which is another helpful item, as it 1, casts life as an item, and 2, gives plus 15 willpower, which is very helpful for a white mage.
Yeah, best white mage stat stick in the game. Nothing else hits the plus 15. And Swimmy looks like taking another swing up here. I guess he's taking the time while getting this loot and these levels to formulate a plan. Let's see how he decides to tackle this Wyvern.
And he did get that Cursed Ring. That might go and make him think, okay, no matter what, I can definitely make sure that this happens the way I want.
Yeah, and he may not even need to throw the spoon at this point. He could probably even swing with the stronger edge, or even zerk him with Rosa, the less well-equipped edge, throw another decent weapon, but still save that spoon for a rainier day. Swimmy has a lot of ways to tackle this fight now.
Yeah, and he can probably get a spell cast off with Paladin if he sets his battle speed low enough, though he'll have to remember to turn it back up.
Scratch finally making the ordeals play. Makes perfect sense that he delayed ordeals, by the way. It seems funny, may seem funny that he's going here after everyone else. But ordeals, the main characters that get value from it are Cecil, who becomes a paladin, Fusoya, because you get 3 boss fights here, which on most flag sets means you get 9 more spells and 300 more HP. And Tella, of course, who learns the rest of his spell suite. With this team, not a whole lot of value here, but still a decent bit of time consumed. So it makes perfect sense for him to have left this for a rainier day.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that there is a key item here, because this tower key leading to a spoon was definitely something that gave Swimmy an advantage, because that brought Swimmy up to 10 key items.
Absolutely. So Swimmy's definitely ahead on the XP curve of the opposition, and kind of ahead on the loot curve. I really like Swimmy's position in this race.
Yeah, I think Swimmy is in the best position to go and deal with this Wyvern on his terms with the fewest casualties, while the other racers are going to, Scratch Dragon knows that the Wyvern is there, but he doesn't have the spoon. He's also lacking a bit of levels and experience compared to Swimmy. Zyrak and Moonblaze, I don't believe, have seen that Wyvern yet, so they are also a bit in the dark in that information. So Swimmy's got a very, very pleasant lead, I think.
Yeah. And there he goes, popping that Cursed Ring, which will give minus 15 to all stats. But more importantly, he puts it on a character in the middle, which means all his other 4 characters are pretty much guaranteed to take their actions before Wyvern. And I believe it's, 6,000 HP at the Val spot?
That sounds about right to me. Somewhere between 6 and 7, maybe. Not an exceptionally high HP spot, because Val is usually pretty well guarded and hard to do damage to, so it'd be kind of cruel to just stack on health here.
Ooh, that 800 damage ice too, with the Leviathan fight here. Zyrak going ahead and slowing down the beast, trying to maybe turn this into a bit more of a battle of attrition than in a direct fight, and 1300 damage to the less magically inclined monk on the team. Hope Zyrak can get that Paladin back up.
Unless I'm horribly mistaken, there's All right, so there's another little thing about the curse string which I might be designed to go and balance it out, and that is it turns your resist into absorbs. It's very hard, however, to go and get anything other than lightning resist on any character that's not a heavy armor user.
Yeah, most mages have something that gives lightning resist, but heavy armor users get access to fire armor, ice armor, dragoon armor to get all three at once.
And Cecil's crystal hat also goes and gives all those at once, so that's so much benefit and so little really value that they can go and extract. Ooh, Swimmy not getting enough run buffers off, I think, and taking the mega nuke, so having to go through and reset again.
Yeah, yep. I wonder if he's going to do the battle speed adjustment in the custom menu to make sure he gets the turns off, or if he's just gonna, like the No 64 vanilla speedrunner he is of this game, just rely on the run buffers.
And anyone here who doesn't know what a run buffer is, if you have a text box up, it goes and prevents the ATB from advancing and the enemies from going and entering battle commands. So if you can go and try to run, get the text box pop up, enter your commands, and keep doing that and preventing the enemy from getting any turns, you can queue up more and more actions without having to go and sacrifice battle speed.
Yeah. And Simbu, our tracker, again, doing a great job this evening, pointing out in the chat. Spoon strats, I think, are the real way to go here. Go ahead, put your slowest character in the middle with a curse string, put an edge at the top, throw the spoon, call it a day. There's no need to keep suffering at this fight. And it looks like that might be what Swimmy's setting up right here.
Taking the crystal ring off Pelham, going and just giving it to Edge, and probably going to give him a ninja shirt and a ninja hat.
Well, ninja shirt doesn't actually boost agility, so no need to do that. The ninja hat would give +3 agility.
Ninja shirt does give 3 agility. That I have actually gone and used that to try and just for fun make Zeromus as fast as Edge, or make Edge as fast as Zeromus.
Oh, my bad. I missed that.
That's what you get for not playing solo Edge seeds on your own free time for no apparent reason.
And there we go. Swimmy finally just taking the path of least resistance, not hoarding onto that to everything, but gets this kill easy peasy. Zyrak, meanwhile, does beat Leviathan at Asura and gets only a crystal ring for his trouble. Great piece of gear, great XP, but not progression. Progression is down to either a hidden Mist Dragonet package, this reward that Swimmy's about to get, or Golbez at Leviathan.
I just want to confirm, have we had anyone check Mist Cave?
Yeah, I believe chat said it was the Dark Imps in there.
Okay. So someone rude is going to go and have this. And it's Wyvern.
Of course, let's not count out Golbez. He could still be holding the actual crystal. He could be holding the hook that lets us turn in the pink pill for the Adamant Armor. But Moon's open. There are a lot of key item checks up there. Great source of XP. Swimmy has, I believe, a couple of hourglasses in his inventory as well. He is going straight to the moon, and I agree completely.
I agree. Looking at the fights he has left with that Leviathan and Golbez, no, I don't want to do that without the Adam armor when I have a pink tail, and there's a hook out there somewhere, right? I can totally get this.
Zyrak taking a swing at Golbez here. Shadow Dragon taking down both white mages. Did Zyrak ever find a life potion?
Well, I don't think Zyrak is keeping this attempt anyways, because... Ugh.
I mean, there's no reset yet.
Maybe he's hoping he can go and get the Yang up with a Starveil and can keep that going long enough to just take out Golbez and see what's here.
Rutsource, the alt gauntlet flag is on. Wherever we find the gauntlet, it will have local monsters instead of the soldiers and... Oh, goodness, that lightning 3. And we're not missing any distinct characters. We know Edward is the 5th one. It's just none of our racers have elected to add him yet.
For some mysterious, strange reason that we can't quite place a finger on.
You know, Scala, you say Moon Gauntlet hopes, but I actually bet that a lot of our racers would like to see a Moon Gauntlet. It's bonus XP in one nice compressed location. Because a lot of these lunar fights don't actually give that great of XP other than the D-Lunars podium. So seeing a gauntlet at any of these lunar daises could be pretty lucrative.
And a small mercy to be found on the moon is another Rosa, which I don't think Swimmy's going to take, but if someone can't go and get through that Wyvern fight with all their Roses intact, they might want to go and choose that one.
Yep. Zyrak making another attempt here, and that dragon is hungry for White Mage.
Well, not so hungry as the last time, but it's still very hungry for Ninja, which is apparently the other white meat.
God.
Also, it looks, unless I'm mistaken, he doesn't have the heroine robe on either of his Roses, as that would go and prevent the paralyzed from going on and affecting one of the Roses.
Yep. And then there's the virus, which is enough to knock that Rosa out. We know what the Lightning 3 is going to do. Zap! Zyrak, I think your progress is in another castle. Gonna take another swing, or are we moving on?
Moving on looks like the right choice here, as Golbez is... There's a reason why we don't like him, and, well, one of the flags we have here is to prevent him, Wyvern, and Valvalis from blocking the way underground, and you can see why.
Yeah. I do like... I really do like... Oh, hey! Speaking of bonus round, there's the D-Mist. Not hiding in the Giant today. One thing I do like about this flag set, though, is that Golbez is a very threatening foe. On the other flag sets, you can either buy a sack of 99 life potions and just win through attrition. You can buy a sack of Star Veils and make all his spells hit himself. This one actually makes him that looming threat that he always was in the vanilla game, or at least, for storyline beats. So I'm glad that this flag set makes him exceedingly threatening again.
Yeah, I agree. It's we sometimes get a little too complacent with our bosses, and it's nice to see them have a bit of teeth again.
And although Swimmy Leone looks like he may be in a little bit of trouble here, it's not so bad. D-Mist only does physical attacks, and it only does 3 before it goes back into Mist form, and gives you a nice little break to heal your team up, to get your buffs up. You can even, and we may see him cast Slow a couple times to slow these actions down even more. So, bad first round with the speed and the strength at the spot, but plenty of time to recovery.
Yeah, this is going to be a very slow and steady spot. This is something that in most races I would consider avoiding because I can't go and chew through this easily. I would rather try and get something like a Black Mage with Nuke to go and deal with this monster. But I think this is definitely the right call. He's bluffed up Palom. Palom's doing 3,000 damage with Virus. That's going to go and be a significant chunk of damage and make Demus pretty manageable.
Yeah. Blaze, meanwhile, makes it through King and Queen Evelyn, which means we know what's in store for him next.
More blood for the... Actually, this is not going to be very bloody. This is going to be more like charred meat.
Yeah, ashes for the... Yeah. Ashes and charred. Little charred bits. Blaze not saving either. This is going to be a treat.
The true disrespect is the fact that King Queen Evelyn, the most free fight in the game, because they do extraordinarily weak Fire 1s and Fire 2s that almost never crack 3 digits, leading into Wyvern, who is at a extraordinarily high magic power stat, so that Mega Nuke is guaranteed to do maximum damage.
Well, of course, hopefully, Blaze and Scratch, find their way through this fight. We know it's the way to the moon. The moon, even if it doesn't have the crystal, if it is gated by that Golbez fight, we know that it'll at least give you more levels, more gear, more options on how to handle these fights.
And you might even find a hook, which would get you an Adamant Armor, which is one of the 2 items in the game that will prevent that instant death from doing, well, instant death. That and the ribbon go and protect from instant death and make Golbez a lot less scary.
Yep. And of course, the Adamant Armor also gives you ridiculously great magic resistance. The Lightning 3 and Fire 2 that he throws will also only do 1 damage. The Virus will still be a little nasty, but probably manageable if you're wearing an Adamant Armor.
Very much so. Moonblaze did get a Starveil off, and at the very least is going to see, yes, you really have to kill Wyvern.
Yeah. This is a little bit of tech by virtue of the permadead flags that you can wait, see what your key item is, and instead of losing your 4 party members, hit that reset button, which Blaze will be doing very soon. Blaze is keeping his fingers crossed that this is garbage. He's hoping for a Drain Spear right here. It's not a Drain Spear.
Blaze is getting the best, worst news he could possibly receive. Rosa goes to bed, and he goes and puts the bed on that shenanigans. And now he really needs to figure out how he's going to deal with that. And I don't think he has a curse ring at the moment, so he is just going to walk out.
Oh no! Maybe hoping for something here that makes it possible. I do think that if you stack your speed gear on just the edges here and put the slowest character in the middle, I think you still have a chance of throwing the spoon in time.
I think so too, because as you said, there's 18 agility here. I think Edge starts around 20, so he's very likely to be able to get the first turn. And then Moon does go and have the spoon, so he can chuck that. He can probably kill in just that one shot, but it says goodbye to the spoon.
Yeah, Simbu has actually done the math on a lot of these. He's done our tracker Simbu, huge shout out to him, has done a lot of the experimentation with this to know exactly what speeds you need for a solo character to outspeed Wyvern, or for 2 slightly slower characters to buffer the queue enough to still deal with Wyvern. So Simbu knows the math, and yeah, perfectly capable of handling this fight, but everyone wants to keep that spoon.
It is. I acknowledge it is extraordinarily helpful because you can go and just simply, spend it on the moon, get 10,000 free damage at that point, cut through things like this demist a lot faster because you're not really getting a lot of damage out and it saves a lot of turns. But sometimes you just have to admit, I have to spend it.
Yeah. And Pepito in the chat asking how Swimmy handled that fight. Well, he just put his edge up top, so he would go first, threw a spoon, and one-shot the dragon.
He did go and take a walk out, go to Evelyn Castle, clear that out to get more experience and hope to find something that wasn't a spoon to throw, but in the end, he admitted defeat.
He admitted defeat and won the fight.
Lost the battle, won the war, or something like that.
Yeah. Zyrak, meanwhile, giving a swing at this Bahamut fight, which we know the reward for this. Blaze managed to make it through earlier. I think I saw Zyrak queue up that spoon. I'm really, really hoping that Zyrak resets here. We would definitely like to have that spoon for a ruder dragon.
I expect Zyrak is going to reset just because this the last set is not worth the spoon in my opinion.
Yeah. Swimmy gets an Avenger from the Mist Dragon fight at the Bahamut spot, one of my favorite weapons, but we have no one who can use it. It is Cecil and Kane only. It auto-zerks you. You can do a minor glitch with it to keep the attack power of whatever weapon you were swinging, but still get XP, and because it was the D-Mist fight, Rydia's mom back in Village Mist will also have a shot at a key item here.
You say only Cecil and Kane and Cecil can use it, but what you really mean is only Cecil and Kane can use, Cecil and Kane can use it more than once.
Yeah, Edge can throw it. It's not terrible. It's probably in the top 5 throwing weapons, if I remember. I'd have to go check out the chart. But still, you much prefer it when you actually have someone who can use it over and over and over again.
Oh yeah, it is definitely the most fun weapon to have in the game, I think. Crystal swords are nice, Excaliburs are great, White Spears, Dragoon Spears, all very attractive, but that Avenger is probably my favorite.
And look here.
Andy. Look, it's a hook.
And we have a pink tail. That means Swimmy Leone is about to get an Adamant Armor, just accelerating his progression through this seed. Adamant Armor, one of the most powerful pieces of gear that I've ever seen. It gives plus 15 to all stats, gives you pretty much immunity to elemental magic, to physical attacks. it's just ridiculously good, and it's going to make Swimmy's life so much easier going forward.
And that kills the dream of Golbez blocking the Adamant Armor, which is a little disheartening to me because I really wanted to see someone suffer through that nonsense.
Yep. And good question from the chat by Blywin. Who do you put it on? Who would you put your Adamant Armor on with this team?
I think Edge, just because he's already pretty fast. You're probably likely to be able to get him up to relative agility 1, even with a non-cursed ring anchor. And you're going to want him in the front row. He's going to do the most damage because he's got those nice swords. Quake is nice, but at the moon, you want to go and get those... just having someone clogging the queue and always throwing an attack, I think, is more valuable.
And it's also nice because that means that you can leave him in the front row and still keep all your squishies in the back row, but you then have a front row character who also is not taking appreciable physical damage. So I like that. The other possibility I could see would be putting it on Palom and putting Palom up in the top slot so he goes first, just to be able to open up fights with Quake, with Virus, with tier 3 spells if the foe has a particular weakness. And then as a third choice, if we do find a fight where something is just absolutely intent on killing one of the important Rosas, put it on her just for that fight. There is a negative glitch. Do you want to talk about that with the Adamant Armor?
Certainly. There's because... Alright, so the Adamant Armor doesn't just give resistance to elemental spells. It gives what's called immunity, where pretty much every single fire, ice, lightning spell is going to do 1 damage to an adamant wearer. If you take the adamant off the person, the game's not really expecting that and kind of leaves you in a super vulnerable state to those statuses. So instead of going and taking normal damage after taking it off, you take double damage permanently. Unless you get some other form of resistance on. You can put a Dragoon hat on and your resistance to all those elements will be overriding your weakness to it.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that for certain bosses you have to be cautious about it. Of course, the Zeromus fight is all either holy damage or non-elemental damage, so you don't have to worry about it there and can flip it as needed. But for now, Swimmy is going with the extra loaded Edge with that Ninja Blade, the Murasame Sword. Just going to be pushing ridiculous physical damage with both these ninjas now. Having a power shirt on the other one. Going to be very melee oriented going forward.
Yeah, he's ready to go and just start blending everything into small little bits with those ninjas.
Blaze here, throwing the spoon as well. Let's see if he remembers to turn his battle speed back up. It definitely looked like it was turned down there. Nothing worse than getting into the gauntlet fight on the moon or that Mist Dragon fight and having to, 3 seconds for an ATB tick instead of the usual sub 1.
Yeah, that's something I'm very guilty of forgetting to, not always great at those run buffers personally, so I'll go and lower the battle speed like Moonblaze, and then I'll just forget because something will happen, like I'll find a darkness crystal, and it's like, I need to go to the moon, and why is all my fights taking so long after 20 minutes?
Exactly. Well, Scratch here opting to forego Cave Bahamut. He was mentioning in the runner chat prior to this race that he got hosed in a previous race by skipping out on Cave Bahamut. We know there's not progression there, but that Adamant Armor is going to let Swimmy clear these bosses ridiculously fast. So we'll see who gets to the crystal first.
You say we know that there's no progression there, but it is the hook, and the rat tail could hold the crystal.
Oh, good point, good point.
Which, of course, because I'm evil, I'm now hoping for.
Okay, let's go with that, but also have the rat tail be through that Golbez fight.
Deal. What is, I believe, something we're finding here is we found the alt gauntlet. It's in the ribbon spot.
This is actually one of the spots that you don't really want to see it, because again, this spot has with 10 key items, this spot gives 200,000 experience. If you're fighting lowly D fossils at the spot, you're probably not getting it. Now, if we get a nice spicy Gold Dragon, Silver Dragon combo, okay, that'll make up for it a bit. So, D fossil, nice and easy, not a threat, but also not big gains for the team.
No, I think this is going to be a bit of a serious disappointment for pretty much everyone. But we do see Moon has his Darkness Crystal is coming up to the moon as well now, while Swimmy went to, I believe, the Paladin spot and has found the Magus Sisters, is taking them out in pretty good fashion as well, it looks.
Oh yeah, he had some great anti-mage weaponry. He has ridiculously strong edges. He has Quake on the Kid to deal with their wall spell they put up. Swimmy is just going to steamroll the entire moon and get a ton of levels in the process.
And he's got a Luca key as well, which there's another spot you can go and check, but I guess theoretically, if you're feeling extra ambitious, you could have gone and turned that into a grind by letting the the middle sister revive the other two sisters. But that might not have been the most efficient use of time.
Yeah, and chat, the Dwarf Castle Warp Glitch is not enabled on this flag set. The only generous thing I'd say this flag set is offering our racers is that Adamant Armor. So good on Swimmy for finding it. It's going to do him a world of good. Everything else is going to be pretty rude. Blaze, by the way, taking this hairdryer fight to gain a little more XP and maybe to get a good piece of gear out of the deal.
I agree, and he's also chosen not to go and pick up the second edge and is sticking with his Yang, it seems. Which, Yang is definitely not going to require gear and will go and get pretty strong. Ribbon is not a bad find, especially with the Golbez still in play.
Yeah, that Ribbon and the Adamant Armor both there means that two characters can resist the Shadow Dragon's, dinner time plans. So, fantastic pickup. Of course, the dragon can still try to eat someone immune to insta-death, and it just whiffs, and it gets a maximum of 3 swings. So that alone drastically increases your chance of having the full party survive at that fight.
Oh yeah, and you can go and pair that up with something like a heroine robe, and you can even have that person have their turn and queue up spells like put on a Rosa, have her no wall, and start throwing on your other party members, so you have extra chances to not die.
And so Zyrak, who was our first racer to clear Dwarf Castle, I don't think he even had to take a reset on it like some of his competition did, is the last one of our 4 to get up here to the Tower of Zot, which we know holds lunar progression at least. He performed admirably taking down that Bahamut fight, but then not getting good gear and resetting, taking down that Leviathan fight, and even attempting the Golbez fight a couple times. So Zyrak, amazing racer, but just rando gonna rando, and those fights did not pay off. We'll see if the moon can turn things around for him when he gets up here.
Yeah, Zyrak is the only racer who really went and gave some shots to those Fey March bosses. Everyone just looked at them and said, no. We do see that Scratch is still in the gauntlet, while Swimmy Leone is starting that gauntlet now. He's taken out that defossil and is going to be carrying forward, though Scratch is taking a lot of losses to these fights. These dragons are not, they're not that free.
Yeah. They have, the Gold Dragon has this percentage-based Blitz attack that will do, I believe, half max HP to a character. The Blaze attack, of course, does quarter max HP. Luckily, though, their physical attacks, anyone who has Dragon defense is good to go. Like, I believe this Rosa is wearing either a Crystal Ring or Heroine robes, so she's only taking 1 per punch. Well, 24 on that hit. Was taking 1 per punch. But this is a very difficult battle of attrition at this point that Scratch is going to have to turn around.
Yeah, and Scratch is noticeably lower level than Swimmy after just not having those 10 key items as long as Swimmy did. And yeah, there's a reset. There are some hourglasses around which you can throw to go and stabilize yourself in some fights, but this is a very ugly fight.
Absolutely, and it's funny because back in version 3, when hourglasses were a dime a dozen, this was a fairly popular grind option, even back in version 2 of the randomizer. Run around outside the final save point here in the lunar subterrane, you find this mob, you freeze them, you beat them up at your leisure, but when the dragons can take turns too, a little trickier.
Yeah, those dragons I think they're getting some revenge for all the times we've gone and said, give us your experience and maybe some money as well. And it seems like we have everyone except for Zyrak at the moment at this gauntlet fight, as Zyrak is going and looting Baron, just seeing if there's anything good to go and be picked up there, as anything you find in chests can definitely go and be a big advantage to you. And now we have the most annoying fight in the game, the Tricker. What does the Tricker do? He casts Peep on himself to tell you, I'm weak to Thunder and have 12,000 HP. What does this do? Well, if you cast Thunder on him, he's like, surprise, I have deceived you, and I will start spamming Thunder on you as well. Or you can just kill him with Fatal.
Yeah, Fatal, I believe Stone also works on him. It's like, yeah, you're weak to other things too. You may even be able to toad him or mute him. Like, he's vulnerable to like everything. He's just trying to trick you so that he can, well, I mean, that's his name. Actually, the original version was Lil Murderer, which I guess is a little more subtle than Tricker. You know, like, oh, okay. I don't know what it's doing, but no problems here. Easy 42,000 XP added to the stack.
Not really going and, the Goblin Sprite probably also helps it. Wow, 2 Trickers in a row. The Tricker, by the way, is the rarest encounter on this floor at, the 1 in 64 chance, and we've got them back-to-back in the Gauntlet. Aren't we lucky?
They're really just annoying because of how much time it takes for them to do the peep. It pops up extra text up top. It's just, it's so time-consuming, Tricker. Just, why don't you just, like, bop me with your little knife, and we'll keep on rolling.
It might actually be worthwhile in some events to actually cast Mute with Rosa to stop the peep text. To literally say...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, to just literally say, shut up, Tricker.
Yeah. Anyway, Swimmy has cleared that, and boom, there's a crystal. So Swimmy is in grind and go mode. Doesn't need too many more levels. Sadly, this does mean that Golbez is not required. I was so excited.
Nor is Rat Tails, and Mist Dragon isn't required either. I think we're all in for a level of disappointment here, to be entirely honest.
Yeah, and actually, Swimmy might not need to grind. His edges are both 47. He does have the Adamant Armor on one of them. He has Zerk on a Rosa. He has Cure 4 on both of them. If he's really worried, he can move the Adamant Armor over to Rosa. He can go fight Zeromus right now if he wants to.
I think that's exactly what he's looking forward to do, because he threw that Palom in the middle, didn't bother trying to get Quake on him or anything, is just put a curse ring on him, is going straight down, I think. Which I believe leads us to a very important question.
Whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
Indeed, we don't go and add Zeromus to the normal boss pool because aside from being the final boss and very climatic, he's a bit too much everything. But we do like to go and give a little makeover to him at the end so that there is still something randomized about him. So if you've got a subscription to Free Enterprise, get your Z flags out in the chat and let's find out whose butt we're kicking tonight.
Absolutely. And of course, this is a special event, Questing for Glory. Wonderful RPG speedrun marathon that goes on the entire week. And I believe this sprite was custom requested by High Spirits, added to the game by Scala Kitty. So whatever it is, I'm sure we are in for a treat.
I'm excited. This is, I expect this is going to be extra fun. And I saw that not both those roses are set up to go and cast magic. One of them looks very much so ready to do something else.
Hey, I love Zerker Rosa. We have great gear to make it work. And, you know, even if you're loaded up with stuff that drains your magic power, Cure 4 single target, still full heal. White magic, fantastic.
Oh yeah, I think the biggest downside to this is that the Heroine Robe will make sure that that top Rose's magic evade is a fair bit lower than the bottom Rose's, as -15 to each casting stat is a pretty substantial hindrance. We're seeing some fun guesses in chat, and we're about to get our answer. The true final boss is this marathon. Anyone getting through, you are a true champion.
Beautiful logo. I'm glad that it was able to get implemented in so nicely. Oh, and it's not just Glory Must, it's Glory Must 3. So when are we going to get Glory Must 1 and 2 added in? I think we have to go back to the sprite pool.
Is that going to be Baba Yaga and I can't remember the name of that Jin from, excuse me, not the Jin, Evil Wizard from Quest for Glory 2. Well, Quick Kid went and took a good hit for the team and is freeing up turns for everyone else.
And notably, that Edge with the Adamant Armor is swinging for over 4,000 a hit. The one with the Power Shirt doing around, well, 25 to 3,000 or so. The Roses are just waiting in the wings until they're needed. This fight's already pretty much taken care of. A high roll Big Bang later in the fight could be bad if it knocks out the Roses, but I think Swimmy is going to be just fine here.
Yeah, I think there's only a small chance of really seeing a second Big Bang, and with that Rosa coming in with Berserk, I think it's even lower.
Yeah. There are three main strats, I think, that people use at Zeromus. There is the straight-up Zerk and heal, where you just let your Zerkers take care of all the damage. White Mages keeps or Chemists can also do a great role here. Keep everyone else pumped up. You can do Reflect strats to bypass the HP refill like they do on the Rosa version of the No 64 speedrun. You only have to deal with, I believe, 61 or 63,000 HP instead of double that. And then you can do Hybrid strats, which is just power overwhelming, all your big Zerkers, all your best mages, and you just take it down with whatever you can get.
I'm a big fan of the third one. I don't like thinking. I just like seeing the numbers fly and just melt things. I really just, I have this thing against healing.
Plays finds a Bahamut summon on the vanilla Holy Lance altar. Of course, we have no Rydia in our 5 characters, so no value there, and probably not going to need to go buy more cabins at this point. So just a little bit of XP is all the real reward there.
Yeah, and he is pretty close to Sui's levels, and he did go and complete the gauntlet, so he has his crystal. He might be going down now, or he might be looking for a little bit more experience to bring him out, because he does not have the Adamant Armor that Swimmy does.
Yeah. Zyrak, however, fighting that DMS spot will get rewarded with it. And it does look like Blaze is hunting for either a trap chest or maybe headed to the vanilla Masamune altar. Yeah, gonna take down this Ogo Pogo location in vanilla. Who's here tonight?
It's Mom, who is not the worst boss to find here. It's so Mom is a little annoying in the sense that Mom has an extra 10,000 HP before they explode and turn into ads. But at this stage of the game, you're actually not in a terrible position to go and get through that damage.
Yeah, you have to do 10,000 extra damage past the ballooning phase, which with this team, probably not a problem. And we did see rocks falling over on Swimmy's screen, and with that hit from Edge, Swimmy has won, coming in first place with a time of, we'll call it 1:44:44, just so we can have as many 4s as possible. So get your GGs in chat for Swimmy, winning this closing race of Questing for Glory 3, and we'll see if we can get him in for an interview shortly.
It's definitely a very well-played seed by him, definitely made a good choices, and really leveraged all of his advantages pretty well. But that is definitely a very solid fight. It was not the worst fight to have, but still a very well done. Everything leading up to there, he did very well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Meanwhile, we did see that Zyrak has taken out that Mist Dragon, got that Avenger, and is if he goes back to Earth, will be able to get that hook and turn it in for an Adamant Armor, which will be a serious benefit for him. Though he does not have the Crystal yet, which is the other 2 runners do have. Well, the remaining 2 runners all have, and Scratch Dragon, it seems, is going straight in.
Yeah, well, the one thing that, Zyrak, you have to make kind of a judgment call here. There may be a little metagaming going, chat open. He knows Swimmy has finished, so you know that you probably don't have to go back to Earth and do that Golbez fight. You probably don't have to dive down too deep of chain. It's probably not going to be, in the sealed cave or behind a rat tail. So popping back to check this very quick freebie is going to reward him with an Adamant Armor, but it's probably going to put him a little behind Blaze and Scratch.
Though if it's that Adamant Armor was the difference between Swimmy's wiping and just being able to last out damage to avoid big bangs, and Moon and Scratch are charging in a little too early, it might go and give him a bit of an edge.
Yeah. And I believe we are going to be joined by Swimmy shortly. Hey, there we go. GG, Swimmy Leone. Congratulations.
Seem to be having a little bit of mic trouble.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, good.
So how thankful are you did not have to go back and fight Golbez?
I'm happy about that, although I knew as soon as I found that curse ring that I could do it. So
excellent. And now, were you specifically hunting for a cursed ring? Because you had the encounter with Wyvern up in Zot, and you already had the spoon at that time, which was ultimately how you got through that fight. What was going through your head when you went back to Evelyn, looting it? What were you looking for? What plans were you forming?
Yeah, I was looking for a curse ring, but I had forgotten about the spoon, to be honest.
Oh.
I saw it in my inventory on the way back. No, I was looking for a curse ring or Artemis arrows, because I saw like the amount of damage I did to it was around 4k. Artemis arrows would have probably put it at 6k. So I was like, if I can just get some Artie arrows, I'm done. And then I saw the spoon and it just slapped my forehead like,
Yeah, that was the biggest chance that you gave everyone to catch up on you. You pretty much ran the seed wire to wire. Very well played. Baka, do you have any specific questions for Swimmy?
How did you feel about the character selection that we had, which was rather generous, all things considered, but
that was like
you did have to work for a bit.
That was a dream party, honestly. I didn't had to work for a bit, but you know, if you get Rosa with some good arrows, you know, you can make it through. She carried the first, half? I think she even got me through Ogo Pogo. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, she really carried you until you got your edge and managed to go and just lean on edge for damage.
Yeah. Oh, and then that missed dragon fight I spent way too long on because I expected my edges to be doing more damage. They weren't quite leveled enough for that.
Well, your Palom was dishing out about 3,000 a pop with Virus, so...
Yeah, that was more than enough. It just took a long time.
Yeah, Mist Dragon fights, like, you always think, oh, this won't be so bad, and then you fight it at, you know, the Bahamut spot or one of the Feymarch spots, and next thing you know, it's been about 12 minutes, and you're wondering where all your time went on the seed.
Right. Yeah, speaking of losing time, the gauntlet. I just went into that and like, oh no, this is going to take forever. Like, the monsters aren't hard in that spot. The only places they're really hard on the moon. Well, the Ogo Pogo spot, that's where you start getting, like, red and blue dragons. Not good. But, where the D-Lunar spot, not bad, but the gauntlet is always time-consuming, and, like, with these random moon monsters, it can be even worse than it was previously before the beta.
You did manage to go and take care of those two annoying trickers rather well, as they just kind of sat there and spammed a bit of magic for you, but all in all, I think you did pretty well in that gauntlet.
Yeah, it was alright. I probably should have used Stone instead of Fatal, but whatever.
Oh no, you used a slightly slower insta-kill than the slightly faster insta-kill. Oh no!
Well, when it's at relative speed 1 and it's doing that really long animation every single turn.
It's only a few seconds, which you've won by more than that.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch. I felt after I went to Eblin and saw, oh, I forgot about the spoon. I definitely felt behind because I thought anyone can just throw the spoon. Almost everyone's going to go do tower because those trap chests are so easy and valuable, potentially. So I don't know if other people rated those trap chests, but I ran like 30 practice seeds, and the tower is awesome with this flag set.
We did see a lot of people going through tower and looting that pretty thoroughly, so you are definitely not alone in that, and you are also not alone in being a little hesitant in giving up that spoon.
Yeah. Yeah, I really should have just remembered, but it's okay. I thought that I was going to have to use it on Golbez, but that's not what was going through my head at White. I just forgot.
Well, I mean, also, this is a flag set where you don't get to use it with Edward, and I'm assuming on your practices you don't frequently have an edge to throw it, so all of a sudden, even having it as an opportunity makes perfect sense that it could slip someone's mind.
It's not, it's one of the worst key items, honestly. But every once in a while, it's the best thing ever. Getting through that without that would have been... I think maybe I could have done it, but I'm not sure how.
It certainly made things
back to Golbez.
It certainly made things a lot more convenient.
Yeah, and it also made the tower play feel less awful, because, you know, when I came off the tower, I was like, oh, great, 2 things for Edge, who I don't know if he's even in the seed. Wonderful. That's a big time sink, so. But he was in the seed. There were 2 of them. I've played lots of practice seeds where you never find the 5th character. You never find out who it is unless you want to go raid the giant, which you don't ever. So yeah, this is a really lucky seed. Got to see who everyone was pretty soon, and that allows you to start. That allows you to play in your inventory a lot better, because, you know, inventory is always the true final boss.
Yeah, the inventory was definitely causing a lot of problems for the seed, because you never know what's really useful, and you're usually wanting to make sure you have exactly what is useful for the moment when you can't get it anywhere else.
Yeah, and the longer you hold on to, you know, everything for every character, the worse it's going to be. I also forgot about the Odin spot entirely, so after I decided not to give it a try the first time, I was like, I'll come back later, and then when I went back to the planet, as I was going back to the moon, I was thinking, oh man, I really should have just gone to Odin, but it worked out.
Yeah, all you missed was one glass mask that both Blaze and Zyrak showed off for us.
What was it?
Glass mask.
Oh, okay.
Guarded by Bahamut.
Ouch. Oh, well, thankfully, Bahamut's not a terribly difficult boss.
Oh, and we do have rocks falling, by the way, on Scratch Dragon's screen. Has made it through this fight with... Whew, you know, these low HP roses always make me nervous, but it looks like... Yeah, that's it. He has the flash effects turned off, but that is the crumble. GG's to Scratch Dragon, coming in second. Very well played.
That's very well played. This is... Rosa might be making things a little free, but not being able to get free encounters and having to go and squeak by with whatever experience you have is definitely a very different experience.
Yeah, when I went to the Z fight, I noticed that my Edge and Rosa HP, I wasn't even paying attention. I was just like, I gotta go! I must be so behind. I noticed those were so low, and I was like, it's probably gonna be a 2 big bang fight. Just have to cross my fingers. It worked out.
Yeah, your Adamant Armor definitely went and carried you a fair bit, as that really helped you pump out extra damage and just get through fights and have extra defense for that gauntlet.
Yeah, and the extra, you know, the power robe is 15 power, I think. 15 strength. And the Adamant gives you 15 strength and agility. So that gives you quite a bit more damage and speed. And Adamant Armor Edge is just a ridiculous character. Not as broken as Cecil, but still.
He can still lay out the hurt when he really wants to.
Yeah. And it really depends on flag sets. On this flag set, he's really valuable because you're fairly likely to find his weapons in trap chests. Same for Cecil and Kane. Yang, not as good on this flag set as he's on others. You can't reliably slingshot him, and you almost never find his good claws.
Yeah, he did go and find one of his claws at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really great. A little late for that game.
Well, Blaze is the third one to enter the Zeromus fight. Got a few extra levels. Got the crystal about the same time Scratch Dragon did, but just wanted to play it a little safer. And speaking of Scratch Dragon, I believe we are joined with our second place finisher, Scratch. GG's.
GG's, and also boo.
GG Scratch.
Boo. I wanted something harder. They gave me 2 roses. Boo.
Oh, well, if you at least you didn't get the Adamant Armor, like Swimmy. You at least made it a little...
Where did you find the Adamant Armor?
Oh, Miss Dragon was Cave Bahamut, which went into Hook. Then we started with Pinktail.
That's fine. I'll pass on that value, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a waste of time.
But I congratulations, you got me. But I dropped all sorts of spaghetti everywhere. I didn't throw. I found Wyvern, and then I said I tried a second time. And I'm like, all right, I just can't do this. I had a save scum outside, and I didn't go to it. Then I went back to Wyvern, didn't save inside, died to him again.
Oh no!
No, it was absolutely silly, dude. And then the last time I fought him, I just said, forget it. I'm just gonna throw the spoon at him, and then if it's something valuable, then we'll work on it.
Yeah.
Because you were the only one of the 3 racers to not do an early ordeal, so you didn't have the tower key that kind of led other people up to the spoon. And then when you finally went back for it, you got it. I think all 4 of you actually beat Wyvern the exact same way. I didn't see Zyrax's completion of that fight, but the other 3 of you all just throw in silverware.
That fight was so... I thought I could have gotten through it if I had battle speed 6 and did enough damage, but I said that was just going to take too much time to keep experimenting with. So...
Yeah. Sometimes in this like set, that's all you can possibly do, but thankfully not the case this time.
Yeah. I mean, did anyone find a Star Veil at any point?
We saw 1 Star Veil. It was in the middle floor of the eastern Dwarf Castle Tower in the pot on the bottom half of the room.
Dwarf, yeah.
Yep,
The one place I didn't check.
The only Star Veil that I think we've seen at all today.
Yeah, but that's not... You don't want to do that anyway, because that's a spot where Wyvern is guaranteed to kill itself, so whoever gets the Star Veil up, that becomes your only party member.
Yeah.
So, not
also,
a good...
I believe we only saw 1 life potion all seed as well that Swimmy found down in Evelyn Castle. Did you find any life potions anywhere, Scratch?
No, I found tons of crystal armor. I think I found like 5 of them. I found what did I find? I found 3 ninja swords, 2 full moons, the cat claw naturally, heroin, white, and then a lunar. Those were the noteworthy items I found, and a sorcerer.
I never found that, I don't think.
Yeah, you were loaded up with ninja gear though, Swimmy, getting multiple ninja swords, multiple full moons, the Murasame. So, I mean, everyone got the Murasame.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I went in early, Swimmy. My Rosa, of the 2 Rosas, the most HP they had was 1800.
Oh man. Yeah, that would have killed one of mine for sure. I think one of mine survived with 60 HP. They were around 2k.
Nah, I didn't take the extra fight after finding the crystal.
Oh, and we do have rocks falling for Blaze, so should be seeing another Flash and Crumble very soon.
Yeah, one thing that did stand out was because when he did the early ordeals, he had that tower key, which then turned into a spoon, which gave him 2 key items and let him have 10 key items for a bit longer than you did, Scratch. That gave him a bit of an experience advantage over you.
Makes sense. Also makes sense that ordeals would be, or not ordeals, Gauntlet would be a pain.
Yeah. It took that gold and silver dragon specifically gave you a little bit of trouble with their HP percentage based attacks. that just because he already had the Adamant Armor and everything. Well, actually, Swimmy, did you use one of your hourglasses there, or did you not even bother?
I forgot about it. Oh, I totally should have.
I would have gotten through the first time if I had remembered I had an hourglass.
We're still not having those things anymore after they got a bit more restricted in shops.
Right.
Yeah, you're so used to starvation that when you actually do get the goods.
Yeah.
And by the way, we saw the GGs in chat. We caught out the rock stalling, but Blaze has finished in third with a time of 2 hours and 58 seconds. One of my favorite things, by the way, we saw this on Scratch's screen as well, that on permadeath, if you finish the Zeromus fight with a dead character, their overworld sprite is replaced with I guess I could describe that as smithereens. I'm going to describe that as just a blob of smithereens.
Edge, you were with us for so long, but at last you had to give your life to give Moonblaze the last bit. Farewell and good luck.
Nah, that was the weaker of the two edges. Forget that. We want the good edge.
The good edge. And Zyrak has cleared the gauntlet, found his crystal, he's headed down as well. Zyrak had a very great, clean early start, but he lost a lot of time trying to deal with the Fame Arch bosses. And that kind of let everyone else, skip ahead of him. Last one of the moon, but he's cleared it very admirably since. He does have an Adamant Armor on, so he's going to be finishing off questing for Glory 3. So this fight should go very, very smoothly.
Ooh, Zyrak, let's go.
Good luck, Zyrak. I was almost tempted to run down without saving, but if it had been the Yogo Pogo spot, I probably would have.
I can see that. If it was the Ogopogo spot and you got through that gauntlet, you would have had a lot of experience there.
Yeah.
Oh, Zyrak looks like he's in real good shape with his HP values.
Oh, yeah. Also, just by virtue of having, he didn't reset after beating Leviathan at Asura, and I think he had 10 key items by that point, so he's also been well ahead of the XP curve for quite a while.
Ah, nice.
Man, taking jabs at my XP.
No, I love that you did that. That's one thing that, I personally like flag sets that require a little higher completion, but I also like it when people have the opportunity to rush into a Zeromus fight at lower levels. So you showed that you don't have to be, in the 50s with the Adamant Armors to knock out that jerk if you know what you're doing. Very well executed.
Thank you.
We are also joined by Moonblaze Wolf now. GG's Blaze.
Hey, thanks.
So was this seed as everything you dreamed it would be after all your practice seeds thus far, or did you feel a little disappointed, a little elevated with your party and the bosses you had to clear?
I mean, I think it was a very good showcase of some of the fun things that can happen in the format in general, and also with permadeath and the alt gauntlet. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great seed.
Yeah, but none of you cowards went and let any of your characters die and, moved on with it. I'm terribly disappointed that none of you just accepted your losses.
There was no reason to.
It's not my fault. One boss just nuked all 5 of them. I can't let them perma die if all 5 are dead.
There was actually one point where you paused early on, Scratch. I believe it was with the Dark Knight Cecil fight, where you had just gained the edge, and I think you had lost, one of your Rosas finished the Dark Knight Cecil fight dead. And you hesitated like you were thinking about it, and we were thinking, come on, sacrifice play.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah,
not Rosa.
like,
any
no,
other
not
character,
Rosa.
Any other character had it been like an Edge or the Porum, I would have done it, but not Rosa.
And
I had that happen with Palom at the Dark Knight Cecil fight, which was really awkward.
Yeah, part of me is wondering if some of you are avoiding those sacrifices because you want to make sure you didn't lose that gear as well, because you had some good stuff pretty early on, too.
Yeah, that Rosa had... What did she have on? She had the rune. I think she had the white at that point. The white or the lunar, and that actually hurts that you don't get that stuff back.
Yeah, that's a very big part of this permadeath, where losing characters, losing experience that they've gotten on this limited experience seed is pretty bad. The stuff, however, can be really devastating.
Yeah, it also lowers the value of the curse ring, which is normally one of the most valuable items in the game, because Ordinarily, you're just going to keep your curse ring character dead, but as soon as your character dies, there goes your extremely valuable item.
Oh, I kind of took it the opposite way, that because you can't prevent characters from gaining experience by leaving them dead, all of a sudden a curse ring is even more important because you don't have another good means of keeping someone's agility low.
Yeah, that's true. It's just that the character wearing the curse ring is going to die a lot.
But
They're very weak.
Just combine your
Ideally-
curse ring and your adamant armor and it balances out, and you get, absorption.
Technically you could do that, I guess.
No, but ideally you want to use the curse ring for 1 or 2 fights, like major fights anyway, in my opinion. So, I mean, losing it at that point is not a big deal. Like, you will use it for, I don't know, maybe the Wyvern fight if you really need to, or one of those speedier bosses. And then the other one is obviously Zeromus, so I have no problems actually losing the curse crystal. I didn't even use it this time, to be honest.
Another thing I was curious about is that we did see an Edward was in the bed in Kaipo. I was wondering if any of you were going to go and, before you go to the Zeromus fight, grab an Edward for a nice relative agility 1 anchor. Granted, the seed was not a very good or really convenient thing to do, but I was curious if that was going to happen. Did any of you give it any thought?
I would have done it if I had 4 characters, not 5, like just really good experience-based characters at the time I found the crystal.
I just kind of forgot Edward existed. I'm sorry I didn't let you all see the package sprite. I already set out so quickly when I saw that Edward.
He played an amazing jam at the Twin Harp, so that was pretty valuable, I have to say.
Yes, shoutouts again to our the new member of the development team for Free Enterprise, Colin Lemedy, who is helping out with the Twin Harp songs. We're looking forward to hearing more from him in the future.
And by the way, that it was Rocks Falling, followed by a Flash and a Crumble. Zyrak has wrapped this up under estimate, 208.17. Finish up those GGs in chat. All 4 racers doing a great job on this seed and this really rude flag set. And I think we're also joined by Zyrak now. GG's.
GG.
The great play. I'm going to let you know that the only thing that made you fall behind the seed was that you were extremely courageous and willing to go after those Feymarch bosses. But of course, I think we all learned the important lesson. Never Feymarch.
Never Feymarch. Yeah.
Yo, forget doing troll bez there. Jeez, oh no. Not on this flag set.
I didn't expect to actually kill him and like move on. Like I just wanted to see what was behind him. Like I was fully expecting to reset, but like all I needed was for Edge to dodge the instant death. That was it. I could have had it, but I rolled the bad end of the 1 and 3 three times in a row. So it's okay. Well, whatever. I guess I don't get to.
Would you like to see or hear what Kian and Golbez had? I did catch that in the spoiler log.
Sure.
The rat tail.
Oh, nice.
We
Right.
were kind of, in the commentary booth and in the chat, we were really hoping for him to have the rat tail. It's just for, like, because Swimmy was the first one to the moon. He beat Mist Dragon, came back to Earth with the hook to get the pink tail, then went back to the moon. And we were sitting here going, come on, rat tail at Golbez. But of course, not where the crystal was this time. But, the seed could have been so much worse.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it's not very often you say it could have been so much worse when like got progression behind whatever. Like
Yeah, I had a couple practice seeds, and to be honest, the Fabul fight could have been so much worse besides those 2 trickers at the end.
Yeah.
See, I actually like the alt gauntlet in this flag set though, because your experience is just so limited anyway that it's kind of nice when you get it at a spot like that. And you probably, I mean, I didn't count, but I'm pretty sure you ended up with quite a bit more XP than you would normally get at that
I
spot.
believe so, yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But like, I had one that had just a Fabul gauntlet, just so everyone can understand the misery that it could be. A Fatal Eye, 2 King Ryus, 2 Blue Dragons, double Red Colossus or whatever they're called, and then a red and a blue dragon.
Where was that? Ogopogo?
No. That was at the Wyvern spot.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, the Wyvern spot definitely has some very fun encounters.
And you all found so much anti-dragon weaponry that saved. All those Artemis, no, you found literally nothing good
Yeah.
for killing dragon.
No,
No,
I
found
almost
it-
blew a Thor Rage on a Tricker at the end but I decided High Spirits probably won. So.
I liked my tech of muting it so it couldn't keep peeping itself.
I didn't know you could do that.
I think it's vulnerable to most status elements. So, yeah.
I didn't know until I tried, but it was fun to try, and it was very satisfying.
Thank you for telling the Tricker to shut up. I approve.
Well, guys, any final thoughts on this this flag set you've been running on the siege in general before we turn it back over to High Spirits?
This is my new flag set. I love it.
Permadeath is fun, and also to the 2,185 people that are watching right now, Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise is the best randomizer. At me.
You'll get no argument from me. I certainly agree with that. I love this more than anything. There's so many different ways to play it. Everyone should go and give it a shot. Come and check out freeenterprise.com at ffforwardfe.com. There's a link to our Discord. And check out our runners who went and put on a fantastic show. Moonblaze Wolf, Scratch Dragon, Swimming Leone, and Zyrak. Glad to have all of you running for us. It was a great show up.
And huge thanks also to Simbu for handling the tracking. I swear that's the hardest part of any race restream is keeping track of all 4 racers, where they've been, what they've collected. Big thanks to High Spirits for handling the restream and putting on one of the greatest marathons here in Questing for Glory. Always love this time of year. And yeah, I think that's all I've got. How about you, Baka?
I think we've said all that needs to be said about this flag set. It's fantastic fun. Everyone should try it. And I think we can look forward to see any new greatness coming to us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, High Spirits.